What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Levers Podcast. This is episode number 10. We have a very special episode today. We got Mark Baker, or Guru Anaerobic from Twitter, on the pod, tuning in from London. Usual Levered lads, Tej, Shake, and Crisp are all here. And today we're going to be talking about how Mark's philosophy sort of fits into the Levers Podcast. So for listeners, a little bit of a summary. For Mark, maybe an introduction. The Levers Podcast is focused on finding little behaviors in life that give a magnified output per input of energy. Mark is someone I found via Twitter back in the day. Mark's philosophy is very freedom-seeking. He's sort of maybe not coined, but popularized this term of unemployable in its most positive, robust sense. And so we're going to kind of talk about that philosophy, how it applies to life, relationships, work, fitness, and how living in that vein might be more of a lever for you. So with that, lads, you guys have any questions to kick it off?
I'll start, TJ. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this conversation. Yeah, it's a privilege to be here and talk with people literally a third of my age, I think, about that. So it's good because when I was your age, in my 20s, I thought that someone who was 60 had nothing to offer, just like some petrified fossil or something. So it's nice as a petrified fossil to come and talk health and lifestyle and things with 20-something-year-olds. So I think you're probably more advanced than I was at your age. So that's a good sign. You're already thinking about things that perhaps I didn't think about when I was in my 20s. It took me a while for them to sink into my brain. So yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, age is a number, right?
Age is a number until you start getting aches and pains in your joints, yeah, of course, it's age is a number. It does have relevance as well, but it's also a signifier of how long you've been on the planet. So hopefully you will have learned something in that period, But yeah, right, so as again,
you've seen a lot of moons.
All right. Well, let's kick it off by winding it all the way back to the beginning. So, if I remember correctly, you left school at 17. You went to work for Barclays Bank for 2 years, which is absolutely hilarious in hindsight.
Yeah.
But so what was kind of the first catalyst where you were like, this is obviously not something I want, and the cost of not being free vastly exceeds the paycheck, and it's time for me to go figure something else out. How'd that all unroll?
I think there are two parts of life, and I do know, looking back on my life, there are certain epiphanies that you have where you go in one day and you come out the end of the day and your mindset has changed, but there's also things that happen on a slow boil. They take quite a while to sink in. So I think those are the two ways your life changes. One is some epiphany or event which you've generated or which has happened to you. And the other are things which change over time, the sort of slow boil effect. But I think after about a year, because I went straight from, it was in the 70s, in the late 70s, crikey, 77 or something, or 78, which seems like so old now, when I just had the requisite exams, qualifications, they were called O-levels. I have a certificate from my school. And then the natural thing for me, because people in my family worked, people around me worked, and school had, told me that's what you do. You take your exams and you go out and get a job. And so I had that. And so naturally, I applied to work for Barclays Bank and had an interview and I got in. And about a year's time. And so it was very novel because I was working uptown in London. And that was all exciting. I had money in my pocket. I couldn't spend the money because I was living at home. The money that was going into my account was basically staying there. So I accumulated money. And then I was going out. I was going to see groups, music, going out to the pubs with my mates and stuff like that. So it was a great time. And I was going, as I say, I was going uptown to London. So it was all great. That was fine. And after about a year, I thought, oh, it just suddenly hit me. And I thought, this isn't what I want. And first of all, I thought I didn't want to work for the bank. And I realised later on, it wasn't about I didn't want to work for the bank. I didn't want to work. Full stop. I didn't want to do after a year, the novelty effect sort of died out. And I was left with me just going every day to work. And it took me a while to realise that it wasn't the bank that was a problem. It's that I didn't fit into the full employment scene. And I looked at the people around me, and in the bank at that time in the 70s, people worked in a bank, man and boy. There were people ready to retire, and they'd worked in a bank for 45, 50 years. And I looked around, nothing against them, but I thought, I don't want that. I saw how they looked and what they spoke about, and the fact that, bank employees had got money, got married, and that their social life was the bank. Their friends were people who worked at the bank. I thought, that's not what I want. But it took me it took me a number of years to really get out of that system. But it was from then really I became increasingly dissatisfied with employment. And it took me even longer to realise that didn't make me abnormal, because there's millions and millions and millions of people who hate employment because they feel trapped,
Right.
And so it took yeah.
I think that's one of the trickiest things about the rat race, which is like we grow up and we look to our parents and other people for examples of how to act, what to do. And we slither into these roles that seem so natural, like it's the natural trajectory of life. You go to school, you get a job, you have a boss. That's what we're taught. That's what we inherit, right? And I think for a lot of people, having to question that simulation or that obvious trajectory or role of life is very hard to do. So to your point, right, a lot of people are dissatisfied in their jobs. They know they're dissatisfied, but instead of recognizing that they're dissatisfied with working or having to suck up to an authority that's a boss, they're like, I'm dissatisfied with this particular company. I need to go do something else, right? And so that's, I think, sort of a perpetuation loop that happens. But ultimately, when you leave that system, it can be very, very scary for people. So we try to kind of, recognize that the sort of unemployed life is absolutely not for everyone. And there's nothing to be ashamed of if you like the security, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Mark, I'd be curious your take on something. I was talking about with my girlfriend last night as I was finishing up your book, and I get the sense sometimes that nobody wants to be employed. Like no one wants to work a 9 to 5, right? Sometimes I think like that, but then I question, is that just my bias, or is it, because I'm like, maybe they don't even know that they don't want it. Maybe they don't know that they have other passions that they could, make a living from. What are your thoughts on that? Is it, because obviously you mentioned in your book something like, the internet wouldn't be possible without people working at these corporations, right? But like, do you think hypothetically everybody would want to be self-employed?
No, I don't actually, because I do think there are people who want to be. I don't want to use the word slave, but they're very secure being employed. They know what's going to happen the next day. They know the money's going to come in, and they're quite happy to be told what to do. To have someone organise their work day, and I don't think there's anything wrong with those people. What are the names of these people? When to improve. If you have a colony of insects, some will stay, or ants. Some will stay back in their nest and what have you, do the usual things, and others will just take out like random walks around the environment, and they might come across a source of food or a new place for the nest to go. And it may be the case that 8 out of 10 of those insects that go off at a different angle, they die because they don't find anything, but 2 find a new supply of whatever it is, resources or food or what have you. So I think you need both. You need people who stay on the island and people who go out on a boat and, see if they can find another island. And some of those people may drown, may die, might not come back. And others will find a new form of way of living or a new life or what have you. So I do think you need both. And I think I said I know I said in Game Fit that, if you're self-employed, the self-employed, employed business owner to me is all irrelevant now, because we've got a new economy. And the new economy is that you make money from your interests. Okay, so I'm not interested in business owner, self-employed, all that exists. But for me, it's irrelevant in the new economy. But, you do need, people still need to build houses at the moment, sweep the streets, collect the rubbish, the trash. So for every free person you have, I won't just explain what free means, because then you can talk about what's free and what isn't free. But for every free person, you need 100 slaves, because those are the ones who do make the things that the free person can use to be still free. So, the new economy is based on apps, websites, the internet, connections, email, AI, all sorts of things which these nerds and people have built by being employed, mostly. Being employed by people who've created companies, of course. So I couldn't exist really unless I decided to go completely off grid, have land and grow chickens, which you can do. But that's quite a hard life. It's not an easy life, and your kids need to be educated, perhaps, whether it's homeschool or whatever. So someone needs to teach them or whatever. So yeah, you need both for a functioning economy. You need both. You can't be all sovereign individuals, because society would collapse. All it is what's right for you as a person. That's all I care about. So if you want to stay working in a job and that's right for you, absolutely do it. But if it isn't, there's nothing wrong with you. So some people want the security of being unemployed, but for me, it was suffocating. So I had to leave.
I think if you look at some the Big Five personality test, or sometimes those feel like astrology, but there is some merit there. If you're you have a higher drive or affinity for openness and maybe a little less conscientious in some ways, you might want to be, doing more new things, versus if you're not very open and you're very conscientious and certain other personality traits. I think a company, a more hierarchical organization is better for you, because there's less uncertainty and you're given what to do and there's more security. And a lot of people like that. And that's fine. It's almost like it's encoded in the genome, right? Some people need to be more exploratory and some people need to be more exploitative, where they do what already works. If everyone was trying new things, it would be chaos, right?
Of course. I think I wrote that it's, people do have natural predispositions and they're heightened or lessened by the environment they're in. So I think people naturally want the security. And if they come from an environment where there's that security, their parents worked, they go to school, they get their exams, they go to university, they go out and get a job, then that reinforces their natural predisposition. But the opposite effect, if you come from a family where they're all artists or creatives and none of them have ever been employed, that's what happened. That may be it may be the case that your predisposition is to want security and you think, I don't want that, I want to go and work. But I think it's, that the same as sport, and strength and speed, it's nature and nurture. But I definitely think, and I do think, the psychological traits, even though it may seem it, and it's a bit of a polemic, but when I write about it in GangFit, I don't really mean to pathologise people who want to work, but, I tend to rant. So it comes out as if I'm saying these are all mindless zombies. I mean, I've mentioned zombies about 1,000 times. So that's a little bit unfair of me, All I'm saying is it's okay not to want to have it. And do you really want that? Okay. And I'm not the first person to say it. It's not as if it's original, but I think GangFit's original because of the way I put it. But the old concept of wanting to break out of, entrapment and the rat race and, you're not mad if that's not, you don't want it, it's not new, but it's really important, especially for you lot, because you're in your 20s now and you have the internet and opportunities which I didn't have, and that has a huge effect, that a huge potential to profoundly influence your future. And if it does it positively, that influences and positively affects all the people around you and your loved ones and the relationships you have. Because I believe that if you improve your life, you're improving the lives of people around you and the people that you love as well. So I think you do need to, without being, putting yourself at the centre of the universe. It's like you save your life, you save the lives of the people around you. So that's how we improve the planet. Yeah, so improve your life, you improve the planet. That's it.
Well, the only reason that I would have ever had access to some of the things that you think about, Mark, are the internet, right? And as I read your stuff, what I really like about your stuff is, you know, you've got skin in the game, and you live this lifestyle, and you just write about your own experiences. You're not trying to preach. You're just trying to write about your life, what's worked for you. And to rewind to the idea that not everyone's naturally predisposed for that sort of lifestyle, what I kind of like about your stuff is you're just like, you don't know until you try it, until you plunge into survival mode and see if a more sort of alternating current is what's good for you, right? Like your environment is pretty much everything. And I bet if we ran the simulation 1,000 times, you would probably be doing something very, very similar to what you're doing now in those 1,000 simulations, because it's deep, deep in the nature. But I think about all the people, like even me in one of those simulations, right? I've got, I think, a lot of the same nature, but I wonder if my environment had been a little different if I would have been 50 years wage slave labor, and that was my life, just because I never tried, just because I didn't get a little bit of influence from something that either you or someone else wrote. It's a scary thought. So I think your stuff is valuable because it potentially empowers people that might have settled in for a long, easy, low maintenance, secure lifestyle to take that risk and see if it's for them.
I think that's very important, and I think that's one of the reasons I've written it, is because first of all, when I first thought like that, I thought I was a bit not different, but everyone else was normal, and I was a bit insane, really. I'd like gone insane. Then the world was going on around me, and I was doing my own thing, not earning any money, not whatever, had nothing to show for it. And it's like, well, what's wrong with you? Because everyone's got their wage and they're going on holiday. They can go out on a Friday night, Saturday night, enjoy themselves, buy new things. And I couldn't, because, I was focused on something else. So after a while, you think, the problem is with oneself. And then you realise after a while of getting used to that there's other people like you. Okay. And then you meet other people like you. And the reason you meet other people like you is because you're not stuck at work 9 to 5. So even when you go to the gym, you go to the gym at 11 a.m. or 2 in the afternoon. And there's other people at the gym at 2 in the afternoon or 11 a.m. They're not employed people. They may be unemployed. They may be doormen. They may be business owners. They may be self-employed. They may be writers. They may be artists. And they're all at the gym. And you think, oh, there's a whole parallel sort of world out there that aren't employed traditionally. But you don't know it when you're employed, because that's your world. And when you break out of it, you discover there's millions of people actually like you. And also what I discovered with GangFit, which was quite sort of profound, that whether the unemployed young person had the same mindset as the 50-year-old multi-millionaire entrepreneur, which was about freedom and self-determination and not being told what to do. And I know, because I've met people, they've invited me to places. I've met like a few billionaires, and they've read GangFit. And I'm thinking, hold on a second. I was just some unemployed kid from single parent family, working class family. And what I'm saying and ranting about accords with a successful billionaire who runs a hedge fund. And you're thinking, wow, so this is a universal condition of not wanting to be trapped. It's a universal condition. As I say, a wolf is so, you trap a wolf, it's trap its leg in and think it so doesn't want to be trapped, it would chew its leg off. So some young people, and it took me a while to sort of discover how much I hated that. So since then it was like, no, be absolutely aggressive with the things you don't want to do. Even if you don't really know what you do want to do, cut out the stuff you don't want to do. And then it frees up your psyche, and it frees up your time to investigate what else is there. And once that door opens, you find there's thousands, there's millions, there's hundreds of thousands, there's millions of things you can do, or that are out there that exist, that when you were employed, you didn't even sort of really realise. So that's the thing. Anyway, so I'm sort of ranting too much because I get enthusiastic about it. Because
you're firing us up.
I like in your book too, like you said, you said it's not an original idea, right? Like freedom,
No, of course
being
not.
unemployed.
Yeah.
But I think what, at least to me, was original was that you put the focus on freedom and not about money. Like a lot of people act like,
yeah.
oh, you got to start your own business so you can make the most money. But in that way, you're kind of still becoming a slave to like the consumerism. It's like, why do you have to make a lot of money, right? Whereas for you, it's more about living a free, flexible, enjoyable life. That's the sense I got, and I think that at least is kind of unique. And I read a lot of the like personal development type books, and I like that perspective.
Yeah, I think people misinterpret when they say, when I talk about freedom's more important than money, they think, yeah, but you need money. I'm not saying that you don't. I know from my own life that you need money. Yeah, because I spent, a long time with no money or hardly any money. That's why it sort of doesn't scare me, because I'm quite used to it. But, I've had money and I haven't had money. But I've been free all that time. And when I say freedom's more important than money, I'm not saying money's not important, because today money's very important. But when you're free, you've got more time to pursue opportunities. You can take those safe to fail experiments. You can do the portfolio of small bets, as my friend on Twitter, Daniel Vassallo, speaks about. You can try things, you can experiment, so money's important. But the problem is money traps more people than it frees. Okay, because they've bought into the lie that you need $1 million or $2 million to be free. You don't. Okay, and if you think like that, you are basically going to end up trapped, because you probably never will have $1 million, and you're probably, so you won't have fuck you money. So it goes back to what Nassim Taleb says: a fuck you attitude comes before the fuck you money. Because if you haven't got a fuck you attitude, even when you have fuck you money, you probably still won't have a fuck you attitude. And not only that, you probably, 95% of all people won't become millionaires. So you're always going to be trapped. So you have to think, what comes before the other? And freedom comes before money. It has to. Because otherwise, none of you are going to be free unless, I know, you talked earlier on, you were talking about a tech start, unless you make tons and tons of money. And that's fine. And then from an early age in your 20s, you can then do what you like. But let's face it, for most people, that's not the case. So if you're relying on a lot of money to make you free, you're more likely to stay trapped. So my point is, fuck your personal situation. Be free. Full stop.
I think that's super interesting for me right now, is because I've just been indoctrinated into like West Coast tech ideology. And so I left my job, but then there's this pressure to immediately be like working on a startup and, starting a certain type of company. But implicit in that is like taking all this venture funding, right? And basically you go from having an employer, which is a big employer, to being like indebted to some venture capitalist and working 80 hours. And then you feel so much pressure to be a successful entrepreneur that you work on something you don't care about, right? So you think you're being free, but you're actually you have a new employer. You're a slave to a new system. And I'm finding myself, it's like, well, do you really want to go and like spend your whole life working on something you don't care about just to be able to say like, oh, I was a successful entrepreneur? It's like the word entrepreneur doesn't mean that you're free, right? Like if you still can't fuck off and do whatever you want. And so it's interesting how like you can like play games with yourself, and you need to be very like conscious of what you actually want.
Yeah, I think this is why I say, the future isn't. We need business owners, we need entrepreneurs, we need self-employed freelance creators, but the future isn't any of those for a normal person. The future is you have to make. My opinion is you make money from your interests. Or rather, you fit work around your life and not the other way around. And I think that's I've lost the camera. I think that's the big difference, is making money fit into your life rather than your life fit into money. And people say, yeah, but you've got to be realistic, But the point is that because you're living a certain lifestyle, then you can take experiments. You can opportunities come to you. So it's not that, as I said before, like money's not important, but it's like fit it into your lifestyle. Don't fit your lifestyle into work or money, because you know what happens. You do something, say, oh, this will only be for 6 months. 2 years later, you're still doing it. Oh, this will only be for what have you. And then you find yourself, you go in a good wage, and in 3 years, you're still doing it. And then you get an increase in wage, and you think, well, I can't leave this job now because I can't leave what I'm doing because I'm earning, I don't know, $20,000 a month or something. You think, I can't possibly leave that. So you end up trapped. And it's very insidious, and it's very, very powerful. It's extremely powerful how it traps you. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but it does trap you, because the more you're in that system, in a way, the less you develop the ability to rely on yourself for your own life, because you're relying on some external circumstance for your own life. So I think, and then eventually you don't even really know the strengths that you have, because you're just relying on this external source of, validity, external source of money, external source of, it's literally feeding you. So I think you should, as much as possible, revolve money around your preferred lifestyle. And I think now you can do that. It may have been far more difficult when I was a kid, but now you can do that, because all those ones they developed email apps, all sorts of things that you can basically use at zero cost. You can have a website cost you $20 a month. You can, it's like the long tail that Chris Anderson wrote. You can participate in the long tail and it costs you pennies. So why not do that? And if you suffer a bit, you don't have enough money, so fucking what? So what? We were hunter-gatherers, we had disease and we had to fight mammoths, and we lived out in the world under the stars, and you haven't got a little bit of money. Stop complaining. Come on, deal with it. People really are starving in the world. And so what? If you're like, you don't expect no problems in life. And if you're going to have problems in life because you've decided this is what you want to do, not problems that other people have given you. So it's like, just make money from your interests. That's, for me, is the most important thing. Then it's not work anymore.
So so I've got two additions. The scariest part about my prior employment situation was not observing myself in it, addicted to the wages. What was the scariest part was looking at the 60 and the 65-year-olds who had done it for 40 years. And you look at the things they had, right, which are staggering wealth, staggering homes, wives, kids, and picket fences, right? And I just had the thought, I don't want any of that next 40 years. I saw my life flash before me in the blink of an eye. I didn't want any of that. And then to think about how you make money from your interests. You leave that world, you go to survival, and you lean into your interests. A lot of people are like, well, it's not practical, it's not reasonable. And we've mentioned this, right? But if you leave your job like I did about a year ago, I was blown away by the amount of stuff I got done by focusing purely and doggedly on what I was interested in. I went from business to business to business. I went off to Turkey. I did personal training there. I came back. I made plenty of dough doing personal training, started a fund, invested in real estate. You just get stuff done. When you're forced to survive, you lean into the stuff that matters. And that sort of energy, leaning into your interests, that focus and that passion, sort of by definition, makes you the best at those things. And ultimately, if you're the best at a thing, someone's going to pay you for that thing, right? So interests and passions first. And if you do it right, then money should, in theory, come. And then it's practice.
Yeah. I think going back to what you said when you started, I think some young people think that they won't become like those older people. But if you stay in that job, you will become like those older people. You absolutely will, because that's what will happen to you. And another thing is, you were talking about they had staggering wealth and nice houses and, the archetypal picket fence around there, whatever, and perhaps in a private gated estate. Unfortunately, many people work for all their lives and they never achieve that as well. So that's like a double, like whatever. So they never achieved the staggering wealth. So that's like, well, Christ, you're not even well off and you've worked for 50 years. Right. So if you're going to work for 50 years, at least you should end up well off. But I've said before, don't judge a person by how much money they have. Judge a person by how free they are and how they can talk about what they like. They can air their opinions. They can say what they like. They can think what they like. They can do what they like. So don't judge someone purely by their wealth. Judge them by how free they are and what they can say. Because you
easy
could
is
be
it
a
to get them
multimillionaire and not be
cancelled?
free. Well, exactly. I mean, ultimately, we can all be cancelled. Yeah, ultimately, someone can cancel us or society. Even if you live in, I've said that, compulsory purchase. Even if you've got a homestead and you're not on the government can come along, they can take it. Okay, so ultimately, you can only do so much. But you want to make yourself as anti-fragile and as robust as possible against this. And the first thing is not to be reliant on someone to feed you, clothe you, and house you. Okay, and as I said,
you want to use?
Yeah.
No, you go ahead. Go
Sorry.
ahead. You weren't finished.
No, and as I said, that don't judge someone by the amount of money they've got, because that's a bad indicator of how free they are. It really is. As you say, someone can work and be employed, and they've got no freedom whatsoever. But it doesn't mean being like Chris McCandless. Chris McCandless is a guy, the well-known guy. They made the film about him where he ends up like he ate mushroom. He went across, was it Canada? Rockies. He left home. There's a film made about him. I forget the name of the film. And he ended up dying in that bus somewhere. In that coach somewhere in Midwest or Canada or somewhere. You don't have to do that these days. You can leave the grid, but not die in the middle of the wilderness somewhere. You can just take the parts of the grid you want and just completely disregard the rest of it, and you now can do that.
I think that trope, sort of the glorification of the Ted Kaczynski off the grid, is sort of ridiculous. But to your point, it's no longer necessary, right? Like you can achieve so much freedom and only use the system for the benefits it gives you, and detach from all of the rest of it, right? Like you have your internet, you have your Wi-Fi. You want to be running orthogonal to the rat race, but there's system stuff here that you can still exploit to your benefit. But as soon as there's something that you're exploiting that has also a cost, that's the stuff that I think via negativa needs to be carved out.
Yes, yeah, and this is why to be off the grid, you don't need to be out of the grid. You can be in the city, you can be in the grid, but off the grid at the same time. So that's what I say about being a hunter-gatherer. You can have the opportunities that arise and still be in the city. It's nice to be in the city, and it's nice to be in a country. So being a foot in both, But you don't physically necessarily need to move out of the grid. Just choose the parts of the grid you want, because at the end of the day, the grid should be serving your benefit, not someone else's. But you're right. If you start being reliant on something, and there's negative sides to it, you cut it out. If you're reliant on, I don't know, pizzas, you're eating pizza every day, you like it. The thing is, the things that harm you the most are the things you really like, because the things you don't like, you're going to stop. The things you harm your life are the things that feel good. So, you have to realise that there may be certain things you like that are harming you, so you cut them out. So that's the via negativa approach. But that's a whole other area we could talk about for ages, really. But ultimately, create the life you want, and you have everybody, whether they realise it or not, has the ability now to be able to do that, or at least have the tools to be able to create their own life. I know it's like a cliche, oh yeah, but all you need is an internet connection. No, you absolutely do, okay? And they're not telling you at school, because school is like it's like a conditioning system. You go to school, you go whatever, and the teachers wouldn't know, would they? Because the teacher's a teacher in a state school, and that's what they've done. They've gone to university, they've become a teacher. So what do they know about that parallel universe? They basically know nothing about it, and they're teaching kids the same, they're sort of obliteration of their identity and becoming just a sort of clone, he says, without trying to denigrate normal people. And, so all of this, it's all there for you. It's all there for you, whether you realise it or not. It's all there.
I think
I love,
a concept... Oh, go ahead, Sam.
I love this one. It's from the intro of Gang Fit 1. It says, people are constantly telling you what you should do, how to behave, and how to live your life. But before you follow the herd, look at the individuals who are telling you this. What do they look like? Do you want to be like them? And when I read that, it gave me chills, because I say that myself so much. It's like, but it's hard when you've been conditioned, which I don't think is an exaggeration. You've been conditioned to, okay, go to school, get good grades so you get into a good university, get good grades there and get an internship so you get a good job and network and this and that. And when you start questioning that, you do start to feel insane, because you start thinking, well, if I pay my dues here for 20 years, I could be like my boss and make, $500,000 a year or whatever. But when you, like, at least for me, when I look deep down and I go, do I really want to be like him? Like what does his life look like? Do I really, really want to be like him? And the answer is no. But it's hard, like, even for us, I mean, we're all 26, 27, and I almost feel like I have to, like, remind myself of that, like, uncondition myself over and over again, because...
Yeah, you do need to. You do need to, because it's a default setting. So you need a force field. You need to develop this force field against all the bullshit that's being... whatever. I'm not even saying it's a conspiracy theory, this bullshit. It's just how the system is. So that system envelops every young person. Unless you come from some weird family that doesn't think like that at all, if you're born into the normal situation, that's a default. It's just how it is. It's like part of, it's in their DNA, and it's going to be injected into your DNA. So you absolutely do need constant affirmation. What you're doing is the right thing, and you have to develop this force field against all of that. You absolutely do, because otherwise you'll just be swallowed up, and you'll just carry along with it. You'll just go along with it. And so you do need to read things. I forget who mentioned it. You read, I think it was you, Sam. You talk about books you read, about self-improvement books. I went through all of that in the 20s and early 30s. I just read about every self-improvement book, and the old ones from Clement Stone and Norman Vincent Peale, and all the old ones, as well as the up-to-date ones and what have you, and also books about your erroneous zones. What's wrong with you? What's keeping you back? Whatever. And as I say, I came from a normal single-parent working class family, so it was inculcated in me that this is what you do. You have a job. Life's hard. Resources are scarce. And just be happy with what you've got. And that's basically a job and a little house, 2.4 children and a wife. Okay. And the thing is, as I've grown older, I've never forgotten that. Whereas as people get older, I can't see how an older person can forget what it was like when they were young. Okay. It's almost like they become a different person. Yeah, you get wiser, you learn things. But to me, what I've thought about in my 20s is just as vivid now as it was when as it was then. So that's why I wrote Gang Fit, because in fact it's probably worse, because I can see it so much how people are just forced into certain boxes that I just want to rant about it. But you do, like going back to what you said, you do need to constantly question yourself, is why am I doing this, and then decide, yes, I'm doing this for this reason. That's why I'm doing it, for the greater good, for your own sanity. And this is why I think I've said it in Gang Fit, that once or twice a year, I purposely commute during the rush hour, just to affirm that what I did was the right thing. And every time I go in the rush hour, I think, absolutely fucking, I did the right thing. This is not what I want. And so there were times in my life I thought, Mark, what the fuck, you're such a loser. And then you think, okay, I'm going to travel in rush hour the next day. And I'm in rush hour, 8 o'clock or 7:45 a.m. or whatever it is. And I go in rush hour and I thought, fucking hell, you absolutely made the right decision. So yes, you absolutely. I don't do it so much now because I don't need to. But when you're a bit more fragile, or you're not really sure, or you don't know other people who are doing that sort of thing, you need to put yourself in a position and you think, this is the reason I didn't do that. And for me, that was almost the symbolic thing, was travelling in a rush hour on a London train. And that was it. And I thought, that's what... And the other thing, as you know, is about every few months walking in the cemetery. That's where you're going to end up. So don't fucking waste time. You've got to go towards what you want from life. You may not even completely know what you want from life, but you sort of do know what you don't want. So those are the two things. Travelling rush hour, walk in the cemetery, and that clears things in your mind. So there you are.
For me, it might be put on a tie.
Put on a tie, even that. Put on a tie.
That's
shoes.
What it might be for me.
I live in trainers, but that is a form of entrapment. It's a form of forcing you into a tie. Nassim Taleb talks about, a tie and everything, but being able to discard your tie, it's like your last day at school, when you could rip off your school uniform and then people write things on your shirt and you can rip up your tie and you never have to wear it again. It's like freedom. But when I didn't need a suit, It was like, wow, this is great. I don't have to wear a suit ever again, except for, hatches, matches, and someone's wedding, funerals and what, and that's it. And then it's nice wearing a suit. Okay, but if you're forced to do the same thing every day, even if it's nice, you get pissed off with it. So, yeah, absolutely right. You've got your own thing, which for you is the symbolic or the metric of that is what I don't want from life. It may be wearing a tie, not wearing a tie, or not wanting to travel in rush hour, or moving out of the city, or whatever it is. And there's that single thing which defines what you don't want from life. And that's really important. And it's not about getting rid of something, it's about escaping from something. I know it sounds like whatever, we're trying to escape an entrapment. But yeah, we're all trapped. We're all trapped. So, it's just how it is. And so, whatever. And then when you feel freer, your relationships with other people are improved. They absolutely are. That's that train going. It's like the Chattanooga choo-choo.
It's Oriental Express.
Chattanooga.
The suit one I actually think is funny. We were talking about earlier using the grid only to your own ends. And as soon as it's trapping you, detaching from those parts. The suit one so I used to wear a suit every day, and I didn't hate it. But the idea of putting on a suit now is absolutely preposterous. But the suit as a uniform lets you get away with a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of things. You throw on a suit, people are like, oh, there's no way that guy's up to anything, any tomfoolery, You want to walk through a gated area, pop on an orange vest. You want to seem as more official than you are, pop on a suit.
Yeah, that's right. It gives you the validity.
One more thought on something that you guys were talking about is the idea that a lot of older people, they can't remember anything about their past.
Wow, how does that happen?
They literally can't access the memories. And a theory of mine that I have on this is when routine sets in, when you're doing the same thing every day, time moves very, very quickly because your brain doesn't have these little hinge points of novelty to grab onto, to move the memory from short term to long term. And so if you don't have a lot of novelty in your life, time just rips by and you can't remember anything. But if you're patently unemployable and you're doing what you want to do every morning, going with the flow, leaning into randomness, I think a lot of newer stuff happens and you have like this sort of like emotional acceleration. All these memories have these very distinct markers. And so you can remember all this awesome shit you did because there's so much of it and it's so different. Whereas if you're in a 9-to-5 for 40 years, there's nothing to differentiate one day to the next, 1 month to the next, 1 year to the next, 1 decade to the next. And so I think that might be part of that really very scary and insidious effect.
I've got to say this quickly. You started off that statement by saying when routine sets in. Immediately, I thought of Joy Division and Love Will Tear Us Apart. When the first line is, when routine sets in and ambitions are low. And then he starts singing, it's whatever. So, sorry, that was just a whatever. So, yeah, you're right. Routine sets in, ambitions are low. And it literally tears you apart, it's like... And so, yeah, I think, boredom and the flat life is just one step away from the grave. It's like, as I said, the life is variation. It's extremes, it's doing things, it's a bit like the old French film where you fall in love and 2 a.m. in the morning you go out and you're like, I don't know, you're by the Seine and you're smoking gitane and there's your woman there and, all these wonderful things that happen to you. But as you get old, your life becomes flatter and flatter and flatter and flatter. There's a natural thing to that, I understand. But you're becoming flatter as your life is becoming flatter. So it's like a self-reinforcing loop of like nothingness and boredom and ennui and and you're waiting till retirement and then you can like dig up take more more care of your herbaceous border in your garden and stuff like that. It's so fucking boring, isn't it? And it's like death. It's what I say about bungalow land. It's basically death, living in a perfect environment but nothing's happening. A perfect environment, a bit like Norway. It's perfect but nothing's going on. Something like that. So it's like, that's what your life has become like Scandinavia, like it's perfect, but nothing's happening, And,
all those surveys about the Scandinavians being the happiest, it always blows me away. Like, are they actually the happiest or are they convincing themselves that they are the happiest on the survey?
They're just convinced they're the happiest because all these Scandinavians and Northern Europeans, they're smug because they got all the... I mean, I'm half Swiss. And Switzerland's like that. They reckon they got the best society on earth and they're great, and everywhere else is a problem, but Switzerland's wonderful. Finland, Norway and places like that, they've got that same sort of mentality that they've got the most wonderful... And it's great. They are lands of perfection. But no one wants to grow up in a land of perfection, because underneath that perfection is order and control. So you want to go to a messy country like the US, where you've got opportunity, but with that opportunity comes poverty, degradation, shit areas and things like that. But I'd much rather be young in that sort of environment than young. I know it's like whatever, it's not, as you get older, you want to be surrounded by nice things. I understand that. I want to open my front door and see a nice, perfect environment. But I understand that the flip side of that perfect environment is uniformity and you fitting into a box. Okay, so if you want to develop your life in a place like the US. And then when you've made a load of money, go somewhere nice and live in a land of perfection. But you're right, it's you need the ups and downs. You need things happening to yourself. And some of those things are going to be bad things. It can't all be positive. But that's what creates the lines in your face. Yeah, that's what makes you who you are. And then you realise your own dark sides, your good sides, your strong sides, the sides which you can't do anything about, because they're just part of you, good or bad. And that what makes you a person. So, you've got to have a life a bit like a French film, where things are happening, where there's tragedy, where there's beauty, where there's art, where there's loss, where there's wonderfulness. Much better than can you imagine just going to an office every day for 40 years, the same space? That's a killer. That's a killer.
People also, we wonder, as if it's some big question, why so many people are depressed, right? And it's like, well, there's a lot of reasons for that, but probably not all that great practice is going and sitting in a dark room, seated in a suit, 9 to 5, 5 days a week. Let's start there.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of like a metaphor. I know a lot of people aren't, actually necessarily in the same place for 40 years, 50 years. But to me, for 40 or 50 years, they basically have to go out their front door at a certain time in the morning, turn left, go to the station, or get in their car or go off to work. They've got no self-determination, except at the weekend. But your weekend is still infected.
And a lot of people would say, right, with the new economy where there's no commute, there's no office, people are like, well, now being employed has a whole new level of freedom around it, right? Because I can be at home, I can do what I want, wear what I want. But I think that's sort of reductive, right? Because you still can't do what you want. There's still some authority, tendrils in your head telling you what you should. You have a rigid calendar every day, right? I think it's sort of it's like this little crumb that the average employer's been given that might keep them in the system for longer, but ultimately you're still beholden to someone else's calendar and someone else's checkbook, which is still killer.
Yeah, it's giving slaves some sweets and toys and some credits, basically. So as I said, it's basically just a longer leash. It may be better than being in the office. In fact, it doesn't suit everyone working from home. Some people want to go back to the office because if they're living on home on their own, they don't see anyone from one day to the other. But it's basically just a longer leash. So I don't believe this working from home stuff is some form of freedom. I just think it's a little toy you've been given, but you're still a slave. It may make your life better. I mean, I know someone who moved out of New York and moved upstate New York, and they got a bigger place for them and their kids and everything because they didn't need to go in.
That's what just happened here as well.
Well, it looks nice. I can see you got the backdrop of trees and that can't be a river. That's a railway line, isn't it? I don't know whatever's behind you. But yeah, so it looks great.
That's the Hudson. That's the Hudson River, Guru. It's our Thames.
Oh, cool, man. Great. That's your River Thames. Great. It's didn't you steal our Tower of London? I think you stole our Tower of London or something. Oh
yeah.
Yeah, I think I may be wrong. Whatever.
I mean, we stole a lot from our British overlords in the 1700s.
Well, of course, the Great Charter, the Magna Carta, is part of your sort of constitution. I mean, it's based on the Magna Carta, or what, but and whatever. But it's so yeah, working from home is just a longer leash, man. It's just like giving candy to people who are trapped.
I think I do want to. I think there's a counterpoint here where you're never actually free. Like, you always are beholden to someone. My dad is self-employed, but he has customers. He's not just going to tell his customers to fuck off. TJ, if you start a fund, you're going to have investors. You're not just be like, oh, I'm sovereign individual. I can do whatever I want. You always are going to need to, get resources from the environment. The thing you can do, and this ties into fasting and via negativa, you can bring your level of consumption down as close to zero, such that you can tell people to fuck off for like a long period of time. Because if you don't need a lot of things, then you can go long periods of time without getting anything for the environment. So if you're working and you have a bad customer, you'd be like, I'm just not going to work for you because I don't need money right now. And I think the greatest way to become self-sovereign is to basically not want anything. Because if you could not want anything, then you could literally go off grid for as long as you want. And I think that's the main thing about being independent, is somehow giving up a lot of desire.
And I think it also goes with the idea of, is it nihil petiti, which is, I've lost nothing. Even if you have lost something, just treat it as nothing. Okay, you do get used to that. So it's not wanting so much. People confuse that as well. They say, oh yeah, it's like it's like minimal living, that you don't need a car, you don't need this, you don't need that. No, it's that you can live without those things. You're not dependent on the things around you. And that's it. It's nice to have more. It's nice to be able to, that's absolutely fine. But you're not dependent on those, and you won't let those control your life, what you're doing. It doesn't mean absolving, taking yourself from modern society and all the wonderful things it can give you, and not traveling and not doing this and not having a nice car or whatever it is. But it means you're not reliant on those things. So yeah, absolutely. Because I wrote that, you don't need $1 million to be a millionaire. You only need $500 a week. If someone put $500 a week in your pocket for free, you're free for the rest of your life. So how are you going to make $500 a week? You don't need to make $1 million a week. You need to make $500 a week. But everyone's been told they need to be a millionaire before they're free. You don't. You may only be a few $100s a week. You need to be free. Okay. And the way you do it is not spending $800 a week on shit that you don't need for start. So as you say, only figure out the things you do need and the things that you don't. And automatically you've got much more chance of being free if you don't need those things. If you haven't got HP agreements, if you haven't got direct debits, if you haven't bought stuff you can't afford, that you have to pay off for the next 2 years. So you can live with a lot less. Okay, but being free is an absolutely sensational thing. But you're right. No one's 100% free, because we all rely on certain things. No one is 100% free. Absolute freedom. I don't even know what that is. I mean, you could be a hobo, I suppose. And I don't know if they still have hobos in the US, do they? Where they go on trains and they travel across states and do stuff
so
like
many.
that.
There's so many. I think we've got more than you.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's that film out, isn't it? Is it Nomad? The woman who lives in a car goes across, and you've got like how many? 150,000 people who live in cars and vans, and they travel across, and they've got their own communities. But even then, you can go onto the internet, you get a little following, and people can send you money. So you can live like a nomad. And you don't have to live like a nomad did 50 years ago, because you've got the power of the grid, which you can utilise.
And if living as a nomad in one of those trains, you probably see more states than most of us will ever see in our lives.
It's a very romantic sort of idea, isn't it, being a traveller? But I think it's easier than ever now, because you can literally, as I say, you can get people following you. I know it's not all about the internet, but I think it's easier than ever to live like that, if you want to live like that, because there's so many resources around you now. And you can also connect to other nomads, and you can meet up, and they can tell you how to do things and this and that, and give you information. Whereas 50 years ago, you couldn't do that. You might meet people on the road, but now you can meet nomads all over the world, online, and you have your own community. So you still feel part of a community. You're part of the nomad community. I don't know how many there are. There are 100. I heard there were like 150,000 people in the US who are like living out of cars and traveling around and doing stuff permanently.
I feel like during COVID too, their ranks swelled. I mean, a lot of people had a lot of time to think about what they really wanted in life during COVID, and they were working from home, and they went out into the country. They saw green, they saw a tree, and they're like, maybe this is pretty cool. Maybe I ought to, be a little bit minimalistic, buy a van, go travel around, meet other like-minded people, and I feel like there are a bunch of them around, and in a lot of ways, I feel a little bit arrogant saying this, but I think COVID gave people a lot of time outside of the routine to actually think. And when you actually think, you can think, to Chris' point, about which of my needs are actually wants, and what do I actually desire from my life. And I mean, that's what I did. I mean, I was caught up in the rat race. Like, it was just the same thing every day. The checks were coming in. I got drunk on the weekends because I thought it's what I deserved, right? And then when you have time to think, I was like, no, this is all wrong. Something's off here. And my guess is a lot of people had that sort of rumination time in the vacuum that was, pandemic and remote work.
I think actually a lot of people in the mid-20s start thinking like that. You might not in your early 20s think like that, but when you get to 25, 26, you work for a while, you may have 10 years of work behind you or whatever in university, and then you start thinking, because you're coming towards your 30s, and 30s is quite serious because you're in a serious part of your life. You're not in your early 20s anymore. 2 or 3 years time you're going to be 30. So you're not in your 20s anymore. You can't mess around. This is serious business, And have you got children? Have you got a partner? All these sort of things. So you start thinking about things. And what lockdown did, I wrote about this in a PDF about attractor landscapes and about your basin of attraction. What lockdown did, it knocked a lot of people out. This external situation knocked a lot of people out of their normal routine and their normal lifestyle. And it's like the research they did. I don't know if I read about it. I can't find a paper where they got so many people to live in a cave for like 30 days. They didn't tell them anything. They took them out of their lifestyle. They got them to live in a cave. They didn't say anything. And when some of the people, when they all came out, half of them, when they came out, changed their lives because they had time to think. They weren't in their normal environment. So lockdown has knocked millions of people out of their normal environment. Some of them want to get back to their normal environment, and they're like, and others have thought, shit, this is a different world I'm living in now, and it's like an epiphany's been forced on them, and lockdown is the best thing that could ever have happened to them. It's the worst thing for some people, and it's the best thing for other people, and yet it's the same event. It's the worst thing for some people, the best thing for others, but it's what it's done. It's just knocked people out of their normal routine.
Yeah, sort of Go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, I think a interesting kind of concept that I think you embody is I came across as an information gatherer. So kind of how the internet takes us back to this hunter-gatherer type paradigm, but instead of like hunting for food, you're kind of, cultivating your interests off-grid, finding out about yourself, and then you come in, plug back into the grid, throw things out into the internet, and then you sign off, go back to living your life, and you can kind of get through doing this. And like I see you go and disconnect, learn more about fitness, come back, give people little tidbits of knowledge, unplug for long periods of time. And I think that is like a pattern of that's in a pattern of employment in the new economy. That's really interesting. It's like you just live your life, and then you just kind of throw things into the internet, and it works out.
I think that is the most powerful thing about the new economy, is that you can now live as a hunter-gatherer. Okay, literally like catching monkeys, gathering some plants and tubers, but it's like a metaphor, but you literally can do that now. Because you've got all these things around your environment which can improve your life, which you come across serendipitously, which happen, which bubble up, which connections that you make in your environment. And you're in your tribe, and your tribe is your family, your loved ones, the people that sort of thing. And you can all get together and move forwards through this environment. And that's a hunter-gatherer environment. It's not the agricultural environment, it's the hunter-gatherer environment. And I do think we want security, but a lot of people, I think we also need to live under the stars, and we need to roam, and I think now the new economy and the internet allows you to do that. You don't need to be in the same place. I mean, I know I don't like the expression, but they're called digital nomads, where they can earn money online and they can go and live in Malaysia for a year, or India, or wherever they are, because it's a lot cheaper. So they may only be getting $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month, and they can go and live like a king in Kashmir, for as long as they like, as long as the visa lasts for. You know, I went over to Kashmir, and it's literally like, well, for £1 a day I could live, like, or whatever. You know, you can employ people for a few quid a day. You know, they can cook all your food. So that's a digital nomad. But it's literally now become a hunter-gatherer. And I think that is such a powerful thing, because I think it's sort of like hardwired into a lot of people. You know, and they're not teaching it at school. They're not teaching it at school. Even though they're teaching computers and internet, they're not teaching how you can transform your life with all of that. And I think it's really powerful. And I think if you feel trapped and you have to realise that the resources you have now can completely transform your life. Literally transform your life. And when you step into it and you earn a little bit of money from it, it's literally like a bomb goes off in your head that there's a completely different life that you can live. And the people who are teaching you didn't tell you about it.
I think they're like an agricultural education. They're teaching you how to tend to the farm.
Well, the teachers, they don't like, the teachers aren't going to teach you how to be someone who leans into the volatility of the internet and uses it to magnify your interest into an income stream, because they don't know. They're not our generation. Like, we're talking about the hunter-gatherers earlier. It's interesting how we can now form tribes across borders, right? Like, we are all in some way part of some tribe that identifies itself in some way. And we were found through this medium, right? And so to the extent that you want to learn about how you can you can live your life and make money independently, this is how you learn. It's like, we learn from people who have done it like you successfully. The teachers in schools, you know, I try not to be too cynical. I don't think they know. They're teaching what worked really in an industrial or an agricultural age, right? Like in the new era, our tribes, like my tribe is right here. It's like this barbell effect, right? Like my tribe is right here. Like my family's inside trying to help me get this house together so I can rent it and have an income stream this summer. But I'm also like, you guys are my tribe too, right? We have similar ideas, similar philosophies, and we're talking, you know, through this medium. There's a virtual and spatial tribe, and that's kind of where you learn about these types of things. My teachers in school, they would have no idea what the fuck we're talking about. Right?
No. I mean, it's the hunter-gatherer effect on steroids, basically, because you're a hunter-gatherer, but you've got global connections, which you can switch off if you want. You can switch those off. So you have the option to switch off whatever part of the grid you don't want for as long as you like. Okay, but you're a hunter-gatherer in your location, in your locale, but you've got the network effect, and you've got the connections, and you've got your main node, and you've got all these other little nodes if you want to be connected to those. So we're a little node at the moment that have come together from across the US and then the other side of the Atlantic. So we're a little node, and then that will probably stay there. There's that there now. That's imprinted, that little node. And then I've got my main node, which is me and my family and my, you know, my close friends and what have you. And there's all these other little nodes coming off. But it's almost like you're a hunter-gatherer, but with this like huge network, which is just... it's just incredible, and that's the new economy. You know, it's got so many opportunities, and it sounds, you know, people say, "Oh yeah," but it's like, but it doesn't. So hunter-gatherer is Lindy, okay? It's managed. You can now live a Lindy lifestyle on steroids. It's just insane. You've got payment systems which are free. You've got your account. You've got all sorts of things which are free, and you can connect to people. If you want to, I can shut it off tomorrow. So you're not, you know, you're not reliant. You know, you can, and you can take it anywhere. So you could be a hunter-gatherer anywhere, you know, and take your tribe with you. And so this is the new economy now. This is about, and you don't have to describe yourself as. I don't know what you fellows would describe yourself as, but I don't describe myself as anyone because it's fucking indescribable. I can't describe myself. Entrepreneur, business owner. I'm none of those things. I'm just me. So when you go to a party, oh, what do you do? I don't know what the fuck I do. What do you do? You know, like you're an accountant, you're this, you're that. Who cares? Who cares? No one cares.
I always thought it was weird how when you, like, people ask you that, they say, what do you do? And they mean, what's your employment? Like who are you employed by is basically what they mean.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can do so much more than that. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
My job is a very small part of what I do. It's not, and I don't even, you know, it's not even what's important to me, honestly. And so when somebody asks you, what do you do? I always thought that was weird. They say that in the UK too, I guess. Huh? I always thought it was an American thing.
Of course. You know, it's a sign of employed people. Employed people ask questions like that. You know, what do you do? I mean, now it's easy for me because if I just want to shut someone up, you know, or just whatever, it's like, oh, I'm a writer. Of course I'm not a writer. I write, but I'm not a writer. Okay, and I wouldn't class myself as a writer. I've just written stuff, but I don't class myself as a writer. You know, what do you do? I could say, well, I'm interested in health and fitness. You know, what do you do? And sometimes I say, I don't do anything. What do you mean you don't do anything? I'm unemployed. What do you mean you're unemployed? It's like, whatever. But for, 15 years, it was very difficult for me to say to someone at a party, what do you do? I say, oh, nothing. Oh, what do you mean you do nothing? Oh, you're unemployed. Oh, I pay my taxes for you because you're unemployed. So I'm really happy now because I say now, become unemployable. So I'm getting back to all those people who used to have a go at me to say, oh, you're unemployed, as if you're a loser. Okay, I can say, no, you're a loser. Become unemployable. But unemployable means that you've got skills that means you can feed yourself and that you're not going to take orders from people. That's being unemployable. I think that's isn't that the title of this podcast? Becoming unemployable or something? I'm not sure.
I don't know what you caught in my question, but basically I was saying that, I read Gang Fit Part 1, and it didn't really have anything about your life necessarily. So I would just be curious, once you realized that you didn't want to work at the bank, what happened in the coming years? Like, how did you go from being, employed to unemployed?
I think I don't really speak about that too much because it's messy. I could say, oh, I did this and this happened. I had a side hustle. I started this and that. I did start lots of things and I tried lots of things. Some things succeeded, some things didn't. I did work part-time. I was a market trader, and not markets in stock market, literally a market trader in Portobello Road. If you've ever seen the film Notting Hill with whoever, whatever. So I worked as a market trader. I did some part-time jobs. I borrowed a shit ton of money. I did sign on for a while. I did all sorts of things, anything to escape employment. So, and I did, so I did a lot of sort of, I bought a few things, sold a few things. I bought a few properties, sold a few properties, just everything really. So it's very messy. If I wrote about it, I think if I wrote about it, it wouldn't be it's not a linear, it's very interesting. People say, oh, they left that, then they started up a startup, or they did this, and then that worked, or they bought property and they earned a bit of money. For me, it was very messy for 12 years or so. And then the internet was invented, and then other things started to happen. And then as I say, a few properties worked out and I had more money in my pocket and other things happened. And so it's very difficult to say that specifically. This is why I'm saying that it can be dangerous to tell people just to leave their job. Okay, because you may suffer. Okay, you may suffer if you haven't got some sort of cushion. Okay, I don't think you have to suffer so much now because there are many things you can put in place and there's many more opportunities to connect with people and to do things and to publish a book or to show your art to people or resources which are free. But in the 80s, I basically quit work when my daughter was born. I sort of quit work before, but I really quit work when my daughter was born. So that was like in the 80s. And I did the opposite of get a job, make sure you got income coming in because you got to be responsible. My idea was, I wanted to see my daughter grow up. So for me, that was really, really important. So I thought, I can't work, just can't work. Because I saw what the fathers were doing, what the mothers were doing. The mothers were taking their kids to school and the fathers were trapped at work. And I thought, I don't want that. But it was messy. But that's a whole different podcast about what I did because it's very difficult to say. I mean, yeah, I bought and sold a few properties.
It's kind of reassuring
I did
that you're saying it's messy.
Work. So I can't bullshit people and say it was a a lot of people are saying, oh, I did a side hustle and I got more income and then that one. I think a lot of people can't start up a side hustle when they're at work because work absorbs their time. And it takes their time, and they're never really I almost chose the death ground strategy. It's literally just work and see what happens, sink or swim. And I think on a few occasions I nearly sunk. So I don't want to glamorize. And I don't want to be one of these internet gurus who say, "Oh, start a side hustle, start earning money." You can do that, but you may not be able to do that. And if you can't do that when you're at work, what are you going to do about it? my idea is the final thing you can do about it is the death ground strategy. Because if your little scheme doesn't work, which you've tried for 18 months while you're working on the side, if that doesn't work, you're still at work. And if the next scheme doesn't work, you're still at work. But what the death ground strategy does, it really puts fire under your feet. It really means I'm not going to eat if I don't. Yeah, I'm really not going to eat if I don't do something. And you may not eat. I've said it in Gangfit. What happens if you haven't got any money to eat for 2 weeks? You absolutely learn about yourself.
I've had to do that with the job.
Sorry?
I've had to do a 3-day fast involuntarily with the job. So it's no problem without a job.
How many poor working people are there? There are loads of poor working people. So why work if you're still fucking poor? It's like piss take. You've been slapped on both cheeks. You know, so you might as well not work and be poor. At least you've got free time. You know, and then you're unemployed in summertime with some of your mates, so you could just create chaos in the city or something, or enjoy yourself, you know, in summer, or do the beer mile challenge or something, and at least you're not at work, cooped up at work. But if you're poor and haven't got enough money and you're employed, what's the point of being employed? Oh yes, I've got a few years, I'll build up my career with blah blah blah. And come on, man, you know this would. But so I'm not saying it's a linear thing. You can try the side hustle. You can try becoming a painter in the part time, and see if you can sell your artwork and this. But the thing about employment is it's an all enveloping thing, because when you stop 9 to 5, you don't free up 9 to 5. You free up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's what you free up, because your life is no longer prescribed by at the end of the week you go to the pub. On a Saturday, you go out and get wrecked. On a Sunday, you stay in till midday because you're wrecked and you've got a hangover. And then you prepare on Sunday evening to go to work the next day. So when you stop your job, it's not 35 hours a week that is whatever. It's like 7 times 24 hours is freed up.
Well, yeah.
So
it's not just about the time that's freed up, right? There are other
everything is freed up.
There are other intangible resources that you recapture, right? Like you get your mind back. Your mind can be liberated to think and create.
Yeah. I think the danger is... Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to ask about Death Ground. That's from Art of War, right? Or is it from Art?
Yeah, I mean, it's not new, but it's in Art of War, and then I read Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power and stuff. I'd think about it, and that then mentioned Art of War, Sun Tzu, and everything.
I think it's a really interesting concept, and like, it's kind of scary at first, but once you kind of like think about it, it makes so much sense that if you put your back up against the wall, you're almost forced to actually, create, or it's like the necessity is the mother of invention. It's like you put yourself in a position where you can only sink or swim, and that's when you have your best performance. But as long as you're still suckling resources from your job, you can't actually do that because you don't have the motivation.
But when you do the death ground strategy, you have to be realistic that you may die. You absolutely may sink. Okay? Because people think, if I do that, my creativity will be unleashed and I'll work through it. You may not. Okay? And you may go back to employment with your tail between your legs. You may lose the house you live in. You may lose the relationship with your girlfriend or your partner, whoever it is, because they think you're a jerk. You may lose whatever. And that's going back to what I said before. The thing about doing it when you're young is better because you do have less responsibilities. Even though you've got responsibilities on you, you do have less responsibilities than when you're 35 or 40 and you've got kids or you've got a family or you've got a partner, you're married and what have you. So, but if you choose to go down the route of opting out of the rat race, of doing your own thing, of taking a chance, of the death ground strategy, whoever you're with, your partner, has to agree with that. Because if things become difficult and you don't earn money or things are really tight, there's going to be a whole load of shit you're going to have to experience from your partner. So you have to discuss with your partner. If they're a relevant person to you, they're a proper someone in your life, you have to decide to go forwards together. Because if things don't work out straight away, you're going to suffer hell from your partner. Okay, if they haven't agreed with what you're doing. If you just announce to them one day, okay, I'm going to quit my job, I'm going to do blah, 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 and I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And then 8 months later, you're still a loser. Your partner's going to lie. They're going to rip you to shreds. Okay. So you have to say to them, listen, I need to do this. One, because I need to save my life because I'm not happy doing what I'm doing. And they really need to understand that. And two is that, and then instill in them, this, you're doing this for a reason. You're not just being an idiot. You're doing it for a reason. And if they don't agree with it, perhaps you're with the wrong person. Because they don't want you to be happy. They want themselves to be happy. So, you know, these are life-changing things. But yeah, the death ground strategy, you may die.
It's interesting. I think
you may fucking die, man.
The death ground strategy and this whole unemployable like kind of philosophy, it is a philosophy, right? You have to do it almost out of like a belief in this value of like freedom, because there's a good chance you're going to fail. Like you can't do it as, I guess, like what am I trying to say? It's like you can't do it from like a rational, like I'm going to do this to get the highest, expected value. You almost like, you have to be like, I just believe in this lifestyle, so I'm going to do it whether I get fucked or not, right? Like it's almost like
you have to be completely irrational. Yeah. You have to be completely, because it's not sensible. So you do have to be irrational. Because it's not sensible.
To add to that, when I was considering leaving wage slave labor, I didn't know that the survival and kind of the AC versus DC lifestyle was what was for me. I didn't know, but I would have never known if I didn't try. What I did know was that I didn't want this thing. And so I removed that thing and then, let life take its course. But yeah, I think Chris is absolutely right. Like, this is not an expected value calculation. This is, I know myself at my core, and freedom is one of my key values, and I'm going to go try to find it.
You've already got the value, and the value is you've escaped your employment or you've escaped entrapment. That forms something you don't want. That is the value there straight away. That you've subtracted something from your life which you hate, which you don't want. So already you've got value. Everything else is like a bonus. This is what I mean. Say, don't be an ungrateful person. You've literally subtracted something which you don't like from your life. Be satisfied with that and go forwards. Don't expect, within a year, I'm going to have $100,000 in my bank account. That's great. Okay, that's all great. But don't say, this is what's going to happen. If it doesn't happen, I'm a loser. You're already a winner, as far as I'm concerned, because you've left behind what you don't want in life. So straight away, you're in a better position. That's the value. That is the value. Everything else is additive. You want the additive stuff. You want that. But the real value comes from the via negativa, from the elimination of something in your life which you don't want. So it's like I said before, I've said it before that, it's far more satisfying turning down a job than accepting a job. Like, I've known that for years. When I accepted a job in the past, a little bit inside me died. Something inside me died when every job I've accepted. Yeah, everything I have to do for somebody else. It's not... something inside me is like, it's the Smiths. I don't know if anyone has listened to the Smiths or Morrissey. I was brought up listening to the Smiths and everything. It's like, I was looking for a job and then I found a job. Heaven knows I'm miserable now. You're actually looking for something which makes you miserable. It's like, what the fuck is that about? You're looking for something which is making you miserable. And you start it and you're miserable. So, what? That can't be right. Why are you looking for something which is going to make you miserable? And then you think, it won't make me miserable. It'll be fine. No, it won't be. It will make you miserable. It make you miserable because it made you miserable before. It'll be fine for a few months and then you'll be miserable again. So every time I accepted a job, it's a little bit, something inside me died. So as soon as I could then turn down jobs, it's like, no, I don't need this. Don't need that. It feels great. It feels absolutely fantastic. Refusing a job. You don't need to. Whether you've got money or not. It's literally you refuse a job. Even if it's sensible to take it, financially sound to take it. I know it sounds crazy because people say, that's just stupid, man, because you've got responsibilities, you've got this, you've got that. It's so great when you say to yourself, I've lost nothing. Because then you're in charge of what you do. You're in charge of your own future. It doesn't mean it will all work out right, but at least you're in charge of things. And if you make mistakes, they're on you. You know, if you do well, it's on you. You know, and so you have to be irrational. You mustn't be sensible. You have to be stupid. You have to be immature. You have to be all the things that they tell 20-year-olds not to be. I think you have to be to save your own life. Yeah, because you have to save everyone's life. We don't need therapy, but you need to save your own life. Yeah, so why would you do stuff that you don't want to do? That's not saving your life. That's like chronic death by 1,000 cuts.
Guru, I think you got to be in the upper decile of ranters of all time.
Yeah, probably.
Excellent.
Gang Fit is ranting on paper, basically.
I think that's why I liked reading it so much. Is that it didn't have like, it didn't feel like, oh, chapter 1, chapter 2, like here's the story. It was just very much how my mind works, and it kept me interested because it was like this, and then here's a tangent into a completely different thing. And your style of writing is very like ADD kind of. I mean it as a compliment. I mean it as a compliment because that's no. It's easy for me to like follow, you know, and enjoyable.
I've purposely done it so that it's like essays. So it's just like a block of text, and then it's another block of text and another block of text. So basically, it's just someone hitting you in the face. Okay, they hit you in the face, and then you're okay. Then they hit you in the face again. It's like a hammer. Everything is like a nail. It's like a hammer hitting a nail. That's all it is. So it's a block of text, a block of text, a block of text. I've just written like it's only 2,000 something of words, a children's book, which a friend of mine is illustrating. It's the same thing. It's a block of text. It's a block of text. It's a block of text. So it's just like bam, 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 bam. That's the way I write. I can't do anything about it. That's just my style. But it's what I believe. It's like this. So it's a form of ranting on paper. You know, it's a form of hitting someone in the face.
It makes sense.
That's how it works.
Makes sense why you've developed a following on Twitter too, because that's how I love tweeting. And it's just because anything I think of, any fucking random 2 sentences, boom, and it's a whole thing, boom, you know.
Well,
I kind of.
I mean, I was just gonna say, I mean, what I like about Mark, your writing the most is not necessarily the philosophy, but that I had a feeling that I was getting to know you candidly through the writing. And what's been so interesting about this podcast is, you know, a lot of people have a divergence between their writing name, their writing personality, their Twitter personalities, and who they are in real life. And it was so obvious, and this podcast confirms it, that as far as I can tell, you're the same person. You know, you're just living your experiences and delivering them on paper. Which I think is rare. It's a rare beast.
I can't see why you'd write about stuff which isn't true, you know, which isn't visceral, which doesn't, you know, because what it's basically the contents of your brain vomited on paper. So why would you write about what's in your brain and put it down on paper? It's not a construct. Obviously, you know, when you write a book, you have to write things in a certain way or whatever. It has to be that people can understand what you're writing. But if you're writing a book about lifestyle, then you have to write a book about, well, it's essentially about my life, isn't it? So it's just ranting about my life. That's all it is. It's great. Writing a book's really great because it's just a form of ranting. And so why would you, if you're some internet, whatever, writing about lifestyle and health and everything, and you're not doing it, to me, that's incomprehensible. It's like, why would you do that? That's like, you must be, it's not that you're lying to people, you're just lying to yourself. So it's like, you know, so I'll be the same. I know it's boring, but I'll be down the pub and rant about the same thing with a friend, you know, or a stranger I meet. I'll try and curb my whatever. But, you know, so I'll be the same because it's just me talking. It's just me, my writing is just me talking. That's what it is. So I don't know because I read my writing, but people tell me, you know, when you read an author, you hear a voice inside your head of what you think the author's going to sound like. So sometimes that doesn't work well when you actually sound like them. You know, when I listen to myself, I sound like Mickey Mouse. Okay, so I don't like it. I don't like listening to myself because I hear myself in my head. So it's a completely different sound to when I listen. You know that on podcasts, you've got your own voice that you hear and you listen to yourself on a podcast and you think, oh shit, is that what I sound like? So I don't like that. So I like writing because I don't have a voice because I sound like Mickey Mouse. Or that's what I think, you know, and it's like, well, you're meant to be like macho. Well, macho bullshit. You know, it's meant to be a certain way or what have you. You know, and then if you listen to my voice, it's like Mickey Mouse. And but yeah, you will find what you get what it says on the tin. So what I say in Gang Fit is basically what I am.
Imagine like Clockwork Orange, like you were just getting into like gang fights, and then you're stopping to like write a little essay about how people should get in a fight or do some sprints or not go fast for a little bit. Then you go back and like beat up some other gangs. That's what I was imagining the whole time, and I quite enjoy it.
Hey, Guru, what's your gang of droogs called? What do you guys call yourselves?
I'm 60, mate. We don't call ourselves anything like the, I don't know, by postcode gang or the Reds, or I don't know, what do you have over there? You have like the Crips and the Bloods.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit old for the Crips and the Bloods things, you know what I mean? So it's like...
Dude, he just told us that he's not a writer, he's not unemployable. Oh, you thought he was going to have a name for his gang? A real gang has no name.
Well, maybe, yeah. A real gang's just a collection of people, isn't it? I don't know, the Amazonian tribes people call themselves... You know, they have some name for their gang. So I don't have a name for anything, you know, it's like whatever. But yeah, perhaps if I was younger, we might call it... I mean, in London, you have gangs that call themselves by the postcode, by the area code of where they live, or by the council estate of where they live, or something like that, or some other fancy name. But a lot of it is the gangs are identified from the part of London where they live. And then they battle against other parts of London, you know, other postcodes, which is all dumb, really, because... As I say in Gang Fit, they're not your enemies, really. They're not the people who are trying to keep you down, these other gangs. You know, it's like society in general is like smothering you. So, you know, you have to go from being a young kid, realising that those aren't the enemy as such. It's not, the other gang isn't your enemy. You know, they're just like you. They're just living somewhere else. The enemy is, you know, it's like trying to control your mind. It's not a conspiracy. It's just you doing your own thing. That's all. But yeah, I mean, essentially Gang Fit, you know, I write from like observation and experience and things that I think about. So I can't see why you wouldn't write about how you think. You write what you think and how you are.
A lot of people do, because I think, you know, they're trying to impress, or they're trying to sell books, or whatever they're maximizing for. There's definitely a divergence between who people are and the signals that they want to project.
Yeah, I think my daughter, as you know, she owns an art gallery. She's owned an art gallery for 5 years, and she's a painter as well. And some tortured painters have, you know, they've got a real problem with selling their work, because they think as soon as they sell their work, they're commercial, and then painting for their customers, you know. And but I think people have to get over that, because if you're an artisan, if you're a writer, whoever you are, be authentic and sell it. There's nothing wrong with selling it. You know, it's not like you're authentic and you've got no money, or you're commercial and you sell lots of things. I don't see there's any problem with producing something authentic and selling it. That doesn't mean you're a sellout. If it's a lie, you're a sellout. If you're writing for the market, you're a sellout. But if you're just writing what you feel and you distribute it and people want to buy it, that's great. Don't have any problem with that. But there are a lot of painters who have a problem with that. Because there's certain things you can do in painting. For instance, if you do still life in a painting, if you put in citrus fruits, oranges and lemons, for some reason, those paintings will sell more than if you haven't got citrus fruits in. You know, if you do paintings of roses or paintings of animals, they're more sellable than other types of paintings. So some painters I know, they only paint roses because they know roses sell. But they don't want to paint roses because they painted roses for the past 25 years and they feel constricted as artists. And I think, well, just don't... You know, you've let yourself get into that position where you're painting roses because you know they sell, but it's artistically putting you in a straitjacket, you know. But I think if you're an artisan and you're authentic, just create and then allow people to buy it. There's nothing wrong with that. But so I know some people say, well, you're selling stuff on Twitter or you're doing that and it's about marketing. Oh, that's bullshit. Because as I think, Chris, as you said, you know, no one's completely free. You do need to somehow do something which generates something which can feed you. We all need to be fed, so you need to generate something, you know. But if you generate something by something authentic, then that's great. That's what you should be doing. That's what
I think that's what we're hoping for this podcast. Is it's a bit autobiographical of our like friendship and ideas we're exploring, and we want to just like talk about ideas that we think are making our lives better, and then just riff about it on camera, and hopefully people will, you know, enjoy it and get some value out of it. Unfortunately, we might not be as steezy as you, so we'll see if anyone ever ends up liking our autobiographical rants. You've obviously found product market fit, but I think being authentic to yourself and putting it on the internet it just seems like it makes the most sense.
Yes. Right. Well, yeah. I think it's now we have the tools to do that. I think that's great. I think that's a great thing that and nobody can feed themselves via, you know, the internet and technology. I think that's a great development. I think that's a fantastic development. So empowering, you know, it's like you can change your life so quickly, you know, overnight. I couldn't do it when I was 20 because there weren't the resources there and I didn't have the knowledge. But now knowledge is free, information is free, the resources are free or they're pennies. So don't ever let anyone tell you it's like things are difficult, man. It's just there for every young person. Parents have got to brainwash their children that there's literally millions of resources they've got. They can create a great life. Not that there's scarcity, not that there's victimhood, none of that. They can inculcate what they should be doing is saying to their children, look at this wonderful world out there and all these possibilities there are. It's just incredible. It's like an explosion of opportunity. It's just amazing. I wish I was your age. Seriously, I wish I was your age. Now I've got 20 more years to live and I'm going to be like, you know, disintegrate. You know, in a few years' time, I'm going to be Gaga or something. I won't know how to put my shoes on. You know, so I wish I was like in my 20s.
Guru, are you going to be the? Are you going to be
such amazing things ahead of you.
Are you going to be the oldest man ever to run a marathon? Oh, a marathon's not your thing. Maybe a 100-meter dash is the fastest ever centenarian time.
You know what? I think the world record for 100 meters for a 100-year-old is something like 29 seconds or something.
You got that. You got that in the bag.
Man, I won't even reach 100. It's an achievement to reach 100, to wake up with a pulse at that age, let alone running 100 meters.
I mean, he's going to do 100 pull-ups. He's going to do 100 pull-ups when he's 100. He's like a pull-up for every year, and then he's going to tweet about it.
100.
He's going to be like, all these joggers need to do some pull-ups. And buzz out 100 pull-ups.
Hey, man, as long as I still got my six-pack, I don't mind.
Yeah, Guru, when does the six-pack at 100 come out? I guess we got to wait 40 years, huh?
Six-pack at 100. You know. Yeah, that's it's not alliterative, is it? It's like six-pack at 100 doesn't work. Six-pack at 60 works. It's alliterative, rolls off the tongue. So I'd have to do 100 something at 100. You know, or a century or something, whatever.
Yeah,
so
right.
It needs to be alliterative. You know, everything alliterative is very sticks in the mind, and you know, rolls off the tongue. So it'd have to be 100, perhaps 100 press ups at 100. That's not very impressive, is it? But or maybe it is. I don't know. I don't know what it's like being 100. You know, it's quite an achievement being 100. So in this country, you're 100, you get a telegram from the Queen. It's personally been signed by the Queen. Congratulations on your 100th birthday. So being 100 is quite important. Hey. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
With that, should we close out, gents?
It's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for inviting me on.
Thank you much for coming on.
Yeah, but speak to you again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Guru.
Fantastic.
Really enjoyed talking with you.
And you. Yeah. Good.
Guru's got to go do some
nice
sprints.
talking to.
The track is
let's go do some
calling,
sprints.
isn't it?
Do you know what?
I never thought a
Just
book would make me
between
want to
you
do
and me-
sprints. I was telling them that. I was like, because I hate running. I was like, I never thought I'd read a book and it make me want to do sprints.
Really? There you go. That's a revelation in itself, isn't it? You see? So you never know. But I'm actually, even though I talk about low carbon or everything, Friday night in Somerset is fish and chip night, which is the archetypal British meal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fish and chips. So I'm having that in a minute. Fish and chips and mushy peas and a pickled egg. So that's what I'm going to have in a minute. So
enjoy that.
So
enjoy that.
Carb.
We won't
Good
keep you
speaking
from
to
it. All right.
Yeah,
See you later,
cheers,
Mark.
guys. Good speaking to you. See you. Bye.
Bye.